In this video, we want to add a record traverse. We've just added the retrace traverse and recalled the existing points and changed the data collector point numbers to their GCDP equivalents. Now we want to go to the Traverses Manager, double-click, and create a traverse called Section 14 Record. We'll use the PLSS record format we created earlier and choose OK. In this traverse, I want to store the GLO calls and use this then when we do our single proportion for the 16th corners. I'm going to reformat this just a little bit. I'm going to take out the geodetic positions, which I don't need. And then I'm going to click on the Advanced tab and switch from feet to chains. So this will allow me to enter the distances as chains right out of the GLO calls, as opposed to converting things to feet. And I can click the minimize button just to shrink this down. Now, I don't have to put in all the record data to match the retrace data. If we look at our drawing here, I'm going to want to put in a 16th corner just north of this line tree at 4801. So I really can start at 4801, recall it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the additional corners, but I'm going to include a letter R after them so I can see that this is a record position. So let's do our 16th corner, south 16th corner on the east line. So 600, 420, R, enter. And now I can come over and put in the record information. So I'm going north 1 degree west, that'd be 400.01. And a grid distance is now in chains. And if I look at my status bar here at the bottom, I see this is a distance from 4801 to 600, 420R, and the units are in chains. So I'm going to do 0.2. And again, I'm just using the GLO calls for this. Let's also go back and just do one more change in our format, and that is let's switch to PLSS options for distance and for true bearing. Okay. And I'll have to do a recompute just to catch up with myself. So now we're computing true positions, geodetic positions for the original GLO nodes. Traverse PC increments the next point label, and we want to change this to 600, 440R. So this is going to be our east quarter corner. We want to put in our next call. Now, the bearing continues 1 degree north, 1 degree west. Let's just press space, enter. We don't have to retype the bearing, just a space key is enough. And we've got our full 20 chains here. You see how I'm arrowing back to the point label each time? Again, I can go back into format, and I can tell Traverse PC that each time I press the space or the enter key, I want to come back and enter a point label now. So it takes me back to this point each time. Now, the next point I want to enter is the record for that line tree. So I'm going to do an 1821 R, space for the bearing, and let's put in our call, which is 5 chains. The next point now, and see how it goes through the point column each time now, is the north 16th on the east line. So 600, 460 R, space for the bearing, and we're going to pick up the rest of that chainage. So there's 15 chains to that corner. And now we want to go all the way up to the northeast corner of this section. So 600, 500 R, again our bearing, and a full 20 chains. Now I'm going to press the up arrow key just so it doesn't continue to add a point further on down. Do you want to see what this looked like in our drawing? Let's go back to our traverse view, right-click the record traverse and go to Traverse Settings, and let's just pick a different color like we've done before. Let's do a blue here. And now we can come back into our drawing, and let's go ahead and zoom in a bit. I'm just trying to get a closer up of what we've done here. And we can see that here's our record data right over the top of our existing data. And we expect them to be a little different, not just because the distances might be different between the found monuments and the calls, but also our calls are based on record bearing of north 1 degree west, and our bearings in our retrace data are based on that GPS control. So there's likely going to be some difference there anyhow, and we're seeing that in this traverse here. Now, for those of you who are interested, we've actually stored the chainage as the raw data. So if I display just the raw data in this traverse, I've actually stored the chains. That doesn't mean, however, that I can't come up and redisplay this in feet. Let's do that just for a moment. So here's the equivalent feet. So if I was more comfortable working in feet, I certainly could. I don't want to recompute now because it would recompute that as 0.2 feet, 20 feet, 15 feet. The same chainage calls would be used as feet instead, and my computations would be wrong. But I certainly can come in here and redisplay it as feet. And then, of course, I can go back to the chains, which is what I entered. Now, Traverse PC understands these are chains, and any recompute of this would recompute based on the chainage, not the feet.